Good morning, everyone. I welcome you all to another episode of the new member orientation series. And today we are going to discuss about the pathways overview. So, in the previous videos, we have discussed about several aspects of Toastmasters. We had talked about the meeting roles. We had talked about the icebreaker speech. We had talked about the table topics. Now we need to start our educational paths. So in Toastmasters, we have a curriculum. We have a syllabus, which goes by the name of pathways. So let us see what pathways is and what does pathways has to offer us. So in Pathways, okay, so Pathways is basically our learning roadmap. So Pathways is Toastmasters modern learning program. So every once in a while, Toastmasters updates their educational curriculum. So before Pathways, we had a curriculum in the name of Competent Communicator and Competent Leadership Manuals. So that was considered to be the gold standard of the Toastmasters International. Now, so what Toastmasters did was, in order to align with our professional goals, they have decided to introduce several paths that can actually satisfy our professional requirements as well. So if you take each path, it includes both the public speaking as well as the leadership projects. Okay, so it started off with 11 paths initially. That is when the pathways was introduced. It had 11 paths. Then, based on a survey which was conducted recently, what they have done was they have discontinued 5 paths and they have kept 6 paths as active. And every now and then they are adding a couple of new paths that is based on the old curriculum. Okay, so recently they have added some vintage paths and all. So it's like a two paths are there for vintage series. And again, in the future also there are so many updations which we are expecting to take place. So for now, in order to understand pathways, we will just focus on the 6 active paths. So currently pathways are 6 active paths. So there are paths which goes by the name of presentation mastery, dynamic leadership, and all. So in the future, maybe in the future, in the coming videos, we might explore the paths which are there in the pathways curriculum. Okay. So each path, when you are registering for a pathway, you have there are several options. So either if you know your goal well, then you can actually choose that particular path. Otherwise, if you don't know the goal, then you have a questionnaire which is available in the website, and you can fill that questionnaire. It has like around 30 questions. If you answer those questions, then you can actually then the system will generate 3 recommended paths based on your responses. So if you think that any of the 3 will actually be suitable for you, you can choose one of them. In case, again, if you are still confused, then the most recommended path to begin with is the presentation mastery. Okay, so that is a path which is suitable for those people who are not at all experienced in public speaking, who don't know the basics of public speaking. So for them, recommend presentation mastery is recommended. Okay, now each path, whichever path you choose, each path has 5 levels, and these levels, they actually increase in complexity. That is, it starts with the beginner level. Okay, in the beginner level, they will teach or they will give assignments which is related to the basics of the speech structure, basis of public speaking, basis of leadership skills, and all. Then as you progress, the complexity increases, but the number of projects will decrease. Okay, so towards the end, our leadership skills will be tested by conducting a project for the club, for the area, for the district, whichever it be. Okay, so that is how the levels are designed. Then the projects. Now every project, as I said, every level has a set of projects. Okay, so these projects can actually test your public speaking or the leadership skills, and it goes step by step. So you don't need to rush through all the levels. Just take one project, focus on it, and then complete it. Focus on it and then complete it. Then you move on to the next project. So it does not need to rush through all these projects. So pathways is actually meant to transform you from where you are to where you want to be. Okay, it actually guides you from where you are right now to where you aspire to be. So that is the idea behind pathways. Okay, so this is what pathways is all about. So how do you log into pathways? So this is actually a step-by-step explanation on what to do. So here I have not put any pictures. I'm not going to do any live demo in this video. What I will do is I'm planning to prepare a separate video series for doing a live demo. Okay. So here what I will do is I will be explaining to you on how to register for a pathways. Okay. So first thing that you need to do is once you register in Toastmasters International, you will be receiving a welcome email from Toastmasters International saying that you have been registered to Toastmasters International. Okay. So the welcome email shall be there in your inbox. Now, in case if it is not there in your inbox, you can search in your spam or junk folder. Okay. And always take a note of the sender's email ID. That is the mail from which you have received. Just take a note of it and store it in your contacts list or in the sender's list. Okay. So that is just a good practice in case if you want to communicate in the future days, in the future times regarding any queries for Toastmasters, you can actually save that contact. So that is step one. Step one is about checking your welcome email. Now let us go to step two. So step two is about creating your account. So in Toastmasters, once you register in Toastmasters International, once you pay your dues and all, you will be allowed to set up your Toastmasters International account. Now, how do you do that? Yes, in Toastmasters International account, in Toastmasters International, in the welcome email that you receive, there will be a set of instructions on how you can register for your Toastmasters International account. So in that, there will be a set of instructions, and in that, you just need to follow those instructions and create a username and password. Now, in Toastmasters International website, when you register, they will ask you for your email ID, and the email ID is your username. Now, what is the email ID? Email ID is the one in which you have registered with the Toastmasters International. Okay, you should actually use that email ID only. You cannot use any other email ID. So the mail ID with which you have registered yourself in the Toastmasters International, that is the one which you are going to use. Okay, and you can create any password. Okay, just follow the criteria, like what is the minimum number of characters, if there is any special characters required and all, just follow that. Okay, so that is about setting up your account. Then in the Toastmasters International website. So the website address, the website URL for the Toastmasters International is toastmasters.org. Just type in the URL www.toastmasters.org. Once you type in your username and password, then you click on login. Then after you click on login, you will be going to the home page of the Toastmasters International. Okay, so in the Toastmasters International, what you can do is you can actually see an icon for the Basecamp. So if you click on that one, then it will take you to your dashboard. That is the Pathways dashboard. So the Basecamp is basically like a, let's say it is like a fitness tracker. Okay, so in case if you are doing an exercise or something like that, what happens is you need to log in that exercise in a fitness app, right? That is a trend these days, correct? So in order to track your fitness progress, you actually have an app. Similarly, in order to track your speech progress, in order to record that speech progress, you have an app which is called as Basecamp. So Basecamp is there in the Toastmasters International website. So it's like an online learning platform. Okay, it's like a portal. So in the Basecamp dashboard, so once you enter Basecamp dashboard, these are some of the features. So firstly, we have the dashboard. Okay, so in dashboard, we'll be having, it will be showing your current path, it will be showing your level. Okay, so this is about the dashboard. And then in the dashboard itself, it will be showing your projects, like what all projects are there in the dashboard, or what all projects are there in the paths available. And each project whichever you click, it will have a video, it will have a resource, and it will have a manual and other resources which is supporting that particular project. Then we have the progress, that is whichever paths you are pursuing, the progress of those paths will be shown in the dashboard. Okay, so in case if you have completed any particular project, then you can click them, you can mark them as completed. And in case if you have achieved any level, a level completion or level path completion, then those also will be shown in the dashboard. So these are some of the features which is there in the Basecamp dashboard. Okay, so we have the progress, it shows the progress. We have the achievements, it will show you the status of your projects and all those things. So Basecamp is basically your personal learning hub. So everything is there in is there in one place itself. So in summary, first thing is that in order to register for Pathways, first thing is that you go to receive a welcome email. Just check that with your XCOM in case if you don't receive a welcome email. But whenever you register for a Toastmasters International, for a Toastmaster membership, the first thing that you will get is the welcome email from the Toastmasters International. Then in that same email itself, you will get a set of instructions where you can set up your account. You just need to follow them. And remember, your email ID should be the one with which you have registered for the Toastmasters International. So using that email ID and with your password, you can log into the Toastmasters International website. Then when you open the Toastmasters International website, there will be a link to access the Basecamp. Okay. And then you can access the Basecamp dashboard. So from in the Basecamp dashboard will show you which path you are progressing, which all paths you have completed, what is the level that you are progressing, what all achievements you have gained, what is the projects that you are completing. All those details you will get in the dashboard. So, and the last one is start. You open the projects, perform those projects, and then complete them, and then track your progress. So this is about the pathways. So pathways is basically a learning roadmap. You just need to log in, explore the Basecamp, and start with level 1, which is the icebreaker speech. So with this, I conclude my video. And as I said, this video explanation might not be enough for some of your members. So what I will do is in the coming videos, not in this series, maybe another series, what I am planning to do is I am planning to do a series in which we are exploring the Toastmasters International website. So with this, I conclude my video number 10. In case if you have any questions, queries, or clarifications required for this topic, please do post them in the video chat section and I'll be happily obliged to respond to them. Thank you once again and see you in the next video. Thank you.